What's up, y'all? Will here at Schedulefly. This episode is with Chad Michael George. He's out in Denver, Colorado. He is a restaurant consultant. He's the president of the Colorado Bartenders Guild. He's former president of Eat Denver. I believe he's the treasurer there now. He's got his hands in a lot of things and all of them hospitality related. He's a great dude, and he's been a Schedulefly customer for a long time, and got to see him when I was at the Eat Denver event a couple months ago, the Ed Talks, and really pleased to have him on here. Pleased he was able to take time to do this. And we got into a lot of stuff, a lot of it mental health related. There's some tough subject matter on the front end of this about some things that have happened out in Denver to some hospitality people recently, and it's sad, but it's an important topic, and so we didn't shy away from it, and that is being mental health and physical health for people in the hospitality industry. So I'm going to leave it with that. I will say that that was a tough part, but we had a great conversation. So don't shy away from this. This is a great conversation. Chad's a smart dude. He loves what he does. He's really good at what he does, and we're proud to have him on here. So check this out. But before you do, check out this quick word from our sponsor, Popmenu, who's also a partner of Schedulefly in addition to be the sponsor of this podcast. Popmenu is all about making your day easier and your sales bigger. They will simplify your marketing operations, bring in more guests, and capture customer data for personalized remarketing to keep them coming back. With one super simple to use platform that integrates with most point of sales like Toast and Square and a number of others, Popmenu starts with a beautifully designed, easy to update interactive menu that transforms the guest experience online. It includes a brand new website that's optimized for search engines like Google for no additional cost, automated digital marketing, online ordering and waitlisting, and you'll never miss another call with their AI answering solution that costs as little as 47 cents an hour. And there's just so much more in there. So visit the link in our show notes. Check them out. I'll say this, my 2 cents is our mutual customers that we have at Schedulefly that I've spoken to have all said great product, great results, great customer service, great company. So check out Popmenu and check out this episode with Chad Michael George, restaurant consultant, Denver, Colorado. More episodes coming soon. See ya.
Well, Chad, I tell you what, man, let's just jump right in. Do me a favor and just do a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah, my name is Chad Michael George. I'm a bar and restaurant consultant in Denver. I wear a lot of different hats. I'm also the current president of the Colorado Bartenders Guild, former president and current treasurer of Eat Denver, which is a group of 250 plus locally owned independent restaurants. And doing a little work for awesome new tequila brand right now called Insolito as well. So got a lot going on.
You got a lot going on, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what should we start with, man? What's top of mind for you right now?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's probably mental health in our industry, just because we've had kind of a tragic week and a half in Denver. Lost a bartending friend to apparent homicide, and then 2 days ago lost two more folks at a great restaurant around the corner from me called American Elm, which is actually housed in the same building where I opened my first Denver restaurant called The Wayback, and lost two employees to supposedly possibly a disgruntled former employee. So we're still waiting on word from the police, but it's been kind of crazy. So kind of working with some fellow restaurant and bar owners and bartenders to put together a big fundraiser, not only for those families, but also to support a few different organizations that are trying to support the mental health and well-being of the hospitality industry. So it's been an interesting interesting time, but that's nothing new in our industry. I feel like mental health outside of the industry as well is something that isn't talked about or supported enough. Um, and there's a lot of people in our business struggling, especially since COVID.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's heavy. That's really, really heavy, man. Okay. Well, I want to dive into this mental health topic, but the first thing I want to do is ask you to, and I'll put this in the show notes too. Tell me where we can send people that want to contribute, support, do what they can for these families or for other, what organizations should we direct people to?
Yeah. So, probably the easiest way to find out if people want to support the families of the American Elm employees, probably the easiest way to get there would just be to go to AMELM Denver, AMELMDNVR on Instagram. You can find the story there and a link tree link to their GoFundMe fundraiser.
Hello. Elm. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
AMELMDNVR.
God, man.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. And then we are, when I say we,
hold on one sec, Chad.
sorry.
Hang tight. I've got something's going on here. Shoot. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I lost audio. I don't know what just happened. Okay. You said Elm Denver. I got that. And then I've lost everything since then, I think. I'll have to go in and edit this out.
Okay. Yeah. So Instagram, AMELM DNVR. There's a link tree in their profile to get to the GoFundMe that's going to support the two families of the employees that are no longer with us. Another great resource here in Denver is CHOW, which is CHOWCO as in Colorado.org. And CHOW does a lot to support. CHOW stands for Culinary Hospitality Outreach and Wellness, and they do a lot of great work in our community to support mental health and well-being. So we're still working on some other fundraisers as well, but that GoFundMe is probably the frontline easiest way to help support the families, which it was a mother and with I think she had a 12-year-old and a husband, and then one of the line cooks as well, who had a family as well, and they are no longer with us. So pretty heartbreaking and terrible, and just tragic.
This topic has been more common lately, which is, I guess it's good and bad. What's good, it's unfortunate, but good, is that people are starting to talk about mental health in hospitality in particular more and more. Not enough. And it just seems like this is just a pervasive thing right now. And it's super concerning, not just in hospitality, but everywhere. Man, hospitality's been an interesting industry for so long, Chad, because it's weird. There's always been this sort of work hard, play hard mentality, which created this sort of family bonding culture, but it was done amidst, destructive behavior often, the play hard part of that. Lots of substance abuse issues, lots of high stress environments that, can sometimes, lead to that as a result of just, having that work hard portion and lots of hours and very high stress and late nights. You've seen a lot over the years. I mean, what does the industry need to do? How do we get past this? I mean, you're around, I mean, you're right. You're around alcohol all the time, and there's drugs in the background. What do we do about all this stuff, man? Because it's the hospitality industry is full of these amazing, creative, passionate, caring, loving people who unfortunately sometimes get, caught up in this stuff. And when we talk about, and I say this, and mental health is a much bigger issue, but substances lead to, or the result of, I mean, they're the unfortunate attempted band-aid with this stuff a lot of times. And it's a hard problem.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in this business. I left it for, 8 years after college and came back to it, and have, been working exclusively in it since I was, 29 now. I've seen it all, and I've been part of the problem, and, trying to be part of the solution. And the problem is that one of the things that attracts people to this business are those aspects of it that, that can create so many problems. I loved the party aspect of the business, and I mean, I still do in moderation. So I think that's the big thing, is having, I mean, this business is lacking mentors in general, whether it's, from my point of view, from my side of the business, I come from a beverage background. I started off in this business and, focusing on wine and then spirits and bartending. And I think that having mentors in this business, regardless of your goals, there just aren't a lot of great mentors out there. And I think COVID kind of exacerbated the problem. We had a huge exodus in this business in every city. And so the possibility or the number of mentors out there has shrunk even more. But I think adding to having a great mentor in the back of house or front of house is one thing when it comes to, I want to learn more about, how to be a great bartender, or how to be a great chef, or how to be a great just hospitality professional. I think that it's on our shoulders as leaders in the industry to take that a step further and realize that there is a problem built into our business, because we are in the business of serving people alcoholic beverages, and we're working long hours, which, encourages maybe other vices as well. And I think we just need to be better leaders for the young people coming into the business. And it doesn't mean, I'm never going to be one to, I 1000% support my friends who have decided that, alcohol isn't for them, or this industry isn't for them. I think to pretend that everyone's just going to not drink or not, embrace the party of this industry to some degree is naive. But I think we can be good leaders and encourage behaviors that support moderation and taking care of yourself and doing more than, waking up at 1 p.m. to get to work by 3, to work till 1 a.m. and then go out till 4 a.m. and do it all over again. And I've been stuck in that cycle, and at times in my life at certain jobs. And, I've had those doctor's appointments where those annual physicals where the doctor says, "What the hell are you doing? Your liver enzymes are all over the board," or whatever, and had to, take a serious, turn to, for my own health. And I think that the best thing we can do is be good leaders and encourage people that that they're not invincible, and we need to take care of ourselves and provide outlets for them to do so, whether it's organizations like Chow, or providing benefits for our employees to allow them to get mental health, allow them to go see a doctor on a regular basis, which, it still dumbfounds me that we have to provide that for people versus it just being provided by one of the wealthiest nations in the world. But, we've got to do what we can do to support our own and give them easy avenues to take care of themselves, because if it's difficult at all, then unfortunately a lot of people just aren't going to do it, especially those that are young and invincible in their own minds.
Are you familiar with Ben's Friends?
I am. Yeah.
Steve Palmer and some guys out of Charleston started that. Steve runs Indigo Road Group, and he wrote a book called Say Grace. He talks about how the hospitality industry saved his life twice. Once because he was young and had a broken family, and it gave him a job and and a career. And then the second time because he was strung out on drugs and alcohol and was literally homeless, and the industry took him back in. And Steve's done really well, and has lived all of that, and has put a lot of energy into helping people. And his restaurant group, Indigo Road, does an incredible job with leading the way. I just actually talked to some guys the other day from NOCO, NOCO Nashville. They are former Indigo Road guys. They started their restaurant there in Nashville. And if you go to their website, it talks, like sort of on Our Story or About Us, it talks about mental health. Like they're super, super focused on mental health. So you're seeing these things, these conversations, you're seeing some examples of the leadership out there, but it's like, it's just not enough. Right. There needs to be a lot more. And you can't here's the thing. I find it interesting. It's like, I agree with you. There's never going to be everybody saying, hey, I'm not going to drink. And nor does there need to be. I mean, there's plenty of people, me, that, I'll have a drink on occasion. I used to have way more than I should back in the day when I was a young man. And now I get it. And I try to take better care of myself, and it's more of a special thing. But one of the things that I think we need a lot more of is the recognition that if you're, as a leader in this industry, if you're taking care of yourself and leading by example, and just having work-life balance, getting exercise, getting fresh air, having hobbies outside of work, these are like basic things that just get kind of set aside. And the more that our restaurant leaders are living that kind of life and showing that, people will follow. Because if you're doing that and you're taking good care of yourself and you're eating well and you're exercising, you're giving your body these things, and you're praying or meditating or whatever you do, there's less desire to drown yourself in a bottle, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think back to the dozens of jobs I've had in the industry, and the ones where I think we can do a better job. I don't think we have to discourage certain behavior, but I think there are too many people out there encouraging damaging behavior. We've all had those jobs, but I can think of multiple jobs where the management, the ownership were a huge part of the party, so to speak. And places where the majority of the staff was, intoxicated within hours of us opening the doors, and all the way through the night. And, I think back on that now and I'm like, gosh, I can't fathom doing that again. And I can't fathom what that looked like and how did we get there. And, I think most of those places at some point end up having a wake up call because something bad happens, whether it's bad reviews or somebody gets a DUI or, God forbid, hurts themselves or somebody else. because of their intoxication. But yeah, I think that again, it's not abstinence isn't the answer for most people, but I think that the general attitude lacks the lackadaisical attitude that we have towards drinking, even in the midst of operating in a restaurant or bar, has a much more consequential effect on the people working there than I think a lot of people are willing to admit, including the what's the oh man, I'm blanking on the right word here. I mean, I've seen lots of people who maybe didn't want to be part of that and almost get pressured into it because they're there every night. Next thing you know, that person's completely hammered 5 nights a week. And I've seen people leave their jobs to get away from it because they don't know how to cope and how to be there and not be part of that environment without participating.
Well, you've been, as you mentioned, heavily involved with Eat Denver. Eat Denver's, I guess May is Mental Health Month,
Mhm.
and we're a sponsor for that, man. By the way, for Schedule.
Yep.
I'm excited about that, man. I'm super thrilled. I love. What's that?
We've got an awesome agenda for the month. It's going to be great.
I was going to say, will you talk a little? I mean, Kristen sent me some stuff, but talk a little bit about that, because I think, first of all, Eat Denver's awesome. I mean, I don't see other groups around the country that are. I mean, there may be some, so I'm not saying there aren't. And if there are, and I've missed you, I'm sorry, but I haven't personally experienced or come across any other groups that are as wide-reaching and well executed and thorough and well attended as Eat Denver. Not even close. So I mean, that's just like, I tip my hat to what y'all are doing out there. It's really awesome. But talk about what's going on in May and what some of the programming is.
Yeah, I'm looking for that lineup right now. I've got it in my email here. While I'm trying to pull that up, though, yeah, I mean, I thank you for the kind words about Eat Denver. I mean, I feel super lucky to be part of it. Adam Schlegel, him and his brother started Snooze back in the day, and Adam approached me in, I feel like 2013 or 14, and asked if I would join the board, and I've been on the board ever since. And I feel super lucky to be surrounded by a pretty inspiring, amazing group of restaurant owners, operators, and other people very closely tied to the industry. Our board is kind of I feel lucky to be surrounded by so many rock stars in the business, for sure. And I don't think there are a lot of groups out there like us, to be honest. It comes up pretty often in conversation. I don't know of a lot of cities who have an organization like ours. I also don't know. I mean, it would work in a lot of cities, but one of the great things about Eat Denver that makes Eat Denver possible and so impactful and successful is how collaborative chefs and owners in general are in the Denver community. This is obviously a super competitive business, and with tiny margins, but the way that Denver chefs and owners and operators come together to support one another, to pull off our big events like the Big Eat, which is coming up July 20th, which is one of our 2 biggest events of the year. It's pretty incredible. We get 60 plus restaurants to come out and cook in the open air, and pretty much all on their own dime, staff it themselves, and we'll get sponsors to help with, food costs and stuff. But it's, especially in a time where everybody's struggling to even staff their own restaurants, it's pretty cool to see the number of people that will come out and support our organization and really give the Denver dining public a chance to see what they're doing. I can't find
That's okay.
the details on May, but yeah, we've got amazing programming all month for our members and prospective members. If anyone is watching, listening, and they're interested, I know there will be more information on eatdenver.com about our organization and about May specifically. But yeah, it's an amazing organization and growing and growing and growing. And, we'd love nothing more than to inspire people in other, cities to do the same thing. Cause it's a pretty great group.
Why, Matt, I have a very strong opinion about this, but why do you think independent restaurants are so important?
Well, I mean, I love to dine out. So selfishly, I think they're incredibly important because 99% of the places I want to go eat are independent restaurants. The amount of diversity and creativity that they allow and present, just it doesn't compare to chains and corporate owned establishments. Granted, there are great chains and corporate structures out there that are doing, really great stuff, Fox Restaurants or, the Hillstone Group, companies like that, they do amazing stuff. But, independent restaurants are the heart and soul of food and beverage in any community. There's a personal, there's a level of personality and personal connection there. And, I think about my favorite places in Denver, and they have amazing food and spectacular service, but they're also really good people from the top down. And I know those people, and that makes that experience that much more special. Not only because I'm supporting them, but because I know how much love that they put into every dish and every drink. And, there's really that means something, I think it means something beyond just saying it means something and mentally thinking it does. Like, I genuinely, truly believe if you put, a lot of love and positivity into a dish, it translates. And, there's even some science, so to speak, to that. And, you get that in independent restaurants in spades, and you just don't in other places. And they're also incredibly necessary to local economies as well. I mean, I've heard a stat recently when we were doing some government affairs work with a scheduling bill that was trying to be pushed through the Denver or the Colorado state government. And over 50% of Denver sales tax revenue comes from independent restaurants.
Really?
Yeah. Or it might be restaurants, but independent restaurants are the core of that.
Yeah.
Structure as well.
Yeah, that bill. What was the bill? I remember hearing a little bit about that. It sounded very concerning to me.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who, as an owner operator, nothing drives me more nuts than to hear about a friend or another restaurant or whatever that posts their schedule on Friday for the following Sunday through, Saturday. That drives me nuts. It's not fair to people. And something may need to be done. Is it the government's responsibility? I don't know. Like, if you work at one of those places, maybe it's just time to find a better employer. But the scheduling bill it had some pretty massive repercussions that, I mean, there were a lot of things wrong with the bill, but just, a few examples. we live in Colorado. Weather is a huge factor, and the bill, the way that it was written, if let's say tomorrow a big snowstorm hit Denver, and I decided to call off half of my staff, I would still have to pay them. Long story short, it would make no sense for me to call them off. So rather than do the right thing and keep them home and safe, I would probably just say, hey, everybody's coming in because I got to pay you anyway, which then dilutes the tip pool for the people that, that would be working anyway. It was just, I agree schedules should be posted in a timely manner. I don't know if legislating that is the right answer, but maybe it is. But the bill had so many difficulties that would have just absolutely, caused serious financial implications for an industry already struggling with massive inflation and labor costs that are just going through the roof. Denver minimum wage is $17.29. Tipped minimum wage is $14.27. So, a server bartender is making right at 30 grand a year before they even make $1 in tips. And now all of a sudden there was this idea that you were basically gonna almost pretty much have to have a full-time administrator just to manage the paperwork that would have been required and the logistics of creating a schedule that would function and not put you out of business.
God blesses elected officials sometimes. Good intentions, but just the lack of understanding of the implications. Well, I'm glad it didn't pass.
Yeah.
I agree on the schedule being, restaurants are, you don't like the restaurant you're working in right now, you can go find another that'll hire you pretty fast, I think. Yeah. So, well, tell me about you just signed up a place recently for Schedule Fly, which is I guess is it a golf simulation?
Yeah, so South Broadway Country Club is not a country club at all. It's
when I saw that come in, I'm like, that's interesting, a country club. And then I went to I was like, I get it. Okay, this concept is really growing.
Yeah, I love the name and the branding, but it's very confusing for a lot of people. I'll have friends that'll be like, hey, come meet me at South Broadway Country Club. Let's hit some balls. And usually the first question out of their mouth is like, well, do I need to dress appropriately? No, you just need to have clothes on. That's all. So, so a good friend of mine, Kelly Huff, we became good friends through him being my golf coach and his wife being my contract attorney for restaurant leases back in the day. So Kelly opened his first location probably a little over 5 years ago on South Broadway in Denver. He's a golf coach, amazing coach, and fell in love with TrackMan technology, which if you watch the PGA Tour and see the ball tracer and the ball speed and club head speed and all that data, that's all coming from a TrackMan unit that's on the tee box behind the golfer. And you don't usually see it on camera, but if they ever show that side view of a player, you'll see a little black or orange box behind them. That's the technology, and it's pretty amazing. So, Kelly built his whole teaching practice around using TrackMan technology, and then decided to make it a bar as well. And, since then has opened a location in Northwest Denver on Tennyson, which is, where my restaurant, my heart, my baby, for 6+ years was on Tennyson. And then just recently expanded that location upstairs and opened a high-end, cocktail bar, whiskey bar with a golf simulator called the Crow's Nest, which is a nod to the upstairs at Augusta National. They call it the Crow's Nest. That's where the amateur golfers at the Masters get to stay, since they're amateurs and probably can't afford to stay elsewhere. So they get to stay in the Crow's Nest. And then we opened in Fort Collins as well. So we've got 3.5, I call it 3.5 locations, and hopefully, growing some more. The industry, like you said, is growing like crazy. There's no fewer than, I'm guessing, at least 10 similar spots in and around Denver. And everybody does it a little differently. There's different technology out there as far as the simulators go, but TrackMan is the industry standard, and the PGA standard, which says a lot about that brand. But I think the big reason South Broadway Country Club stands out is because of every location has a teaching pro. They all, I would bet each location is doing at least 30 plus hours a week in lessons for people that are either just picking up the game, or Kelly teaches everyone from people who've never swung a club to the Colorado mid amateur champion. So he's teaching across the board, and we have a pro at every location, and I think that makes a huge difference. And those people usually become regulars outside of their lessons as well. And this is we're going into the slow season, but it's still really busy. And opening the cocktail bar upstairs was a lot of fun. And yeah, so I'm running operations for all the locations, and hopefully what I'm really doing is kind of getting things dialed in and systems in place so that the company can grow while the iron's hot, and really flex our competitive advantage over the other places out there that are trying to do the same thing.
Well, it's a great concept. I mean, if the technology is there and it's good enough to really accurately portray what it would be like if you were actually on a golf course and you just hit that exact same shot, where the ball would go and so forth, that makes golf so much more approachable for so many reasons: expense reasons, real estate reasons, time reasons, and just it's hard to get a group of people to go. I mean, to go out to a golf course and and just the amount of time it takes to go and get situated and play 18 holes and come back, I would imagine it's probably half as long there, just as much or more fun. You're in you've got probably, I would imagine, I mean, I've never done one of these things, but I'm just imagining you've got different courses you can pick and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Seems like that's a great thing for the game of golf, because it makes it more affordable and approachable for people that maybe get into it there, that then, begin going and playing real golf. I mean, golf's had it's been hard for that industry to thrive for a while. I think it's becoming a narrow industry, but maybe things like this open it up to a lot more people. I know just into my family, we're already having conversations about that.
Yeah, I mean, COVID was a huge boom for golf in general, because it was one of the few things people could do. I shouldn't say one of the few things. There are plenty of things you can do outdoors, but I mean, talking to a few pros at courses around Denver, they had I talked to, one specific course I play a lot. They had their best summer ever in 2020. And then 2021 was even better. And 2022 was even better. And, we saw it at South Broadway too. Kelly and all of our pros, the number of lessons they've booked for new golfers, because it is much less intimidating going to the range and being surrounded by a bunch of people that probably play weekly when you've never swung a club would be terribly intimidating. I probably wouldn't do it if I was just getting into the game. So yeah, I think we're introducing a lot of people to the game, and yes, you're right. You can come in and play, we've got a few hundred courses on the simulator, and if I go in by myself, I can play 18 holes in about 45 minutes. If that's what I want to do. But the amount of data that's available to you, if you're somebody who regularly plays on TrackMan, and you've had any guidance from somebody like Kelly who knows the system really well, you can kind of self-diagnose your issues too. You know, you can, there's just so much telemetry and data available, and slow motion camera replays, and it's pretty incredible how much you can see and figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. Yeah, I mean, the technology is pretty incredible, and it's just, I love to play golf. I hardly ever go to a physical driving range anymore. Because if something's going wrong and I'm at the driving range, I might be able to figure out what I'm doing wrong, but in a TrackMan, you know, in the simulator at South Broadway, I've got 30 different data points on the bottom of the screen, and I've got cameras behind me that show my swing up on the screen in slow motion after the fact, and you can really see, you know, what's going on and kind of figure things out. And I'm not a great golfer, but you become accustomed to that data and whatnot, and you can kind of figure out, okay, this is what's happening, I need to do this instead. And it's pretty great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess as that technology becomes less expensive, it'll be a lot more common. But you guys, so you're trying to get out ahead of it. I mean, you're trying to establish a brand that you can grow and be a leader in the space. That must be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great so far. You know, like I said, Kelly's a really good friend, and, you know, going to work with friends or for friends is always super tricky. And we talked about it a lot. And if we wanted to go down this road, and, you know, I'm super excited that we decided we should do it, because I think I think the growth possibilities are endless. You know, when I travel, I always look to see what other facilities like us are out there. And, you know, in much bigger cities like Chicago, for instance, I was just up there in the last month. They have some places like us, but nowhere near as many as Denver has. And Chicago is, you know, a harder place to golf because it's such an urban center. There aren't a lot of golf courses close by. The weather is worse. You know, their season's, you know, shorter than Denver. You know, outside of this past winter, you can probably golf in Denver, you know, usually 9 to 10 months out of the year. You know, we had a long period of snow covered time this year, but I think there's a lot of potential for this business to grow, and it's not rocket science. I think there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I just need to buy these simulators and, you know, open up a bar, maybe have some food, maybe not, and we'll be great. But, you know, there's already been a few places in Denver that have opened and closed. And I think beyond having somebody at the helm that truly believes in the idea of hospitality is crucial no matter what. But also, I think having legitimate great teachers / coaches at every establishment is a huge benefit to us and our model that a lot of places are not embracing. They're just a facility to come hit some balls, and that's really it. And I think that personal connection that you develop with somebody who introduces you to the game, or, you know, helps you get better at the game, you know, makes all the difference in the world.
Well, I don't want to keep you much longer. I want to respect your time, but I'm curious, outside of obviously golf, what else do you do outside of work for fun?
Ski. I mean, I moved to Colorado because I wanted to be closer to the mountains. Moved here from St. Louis 11 years ago because of a love of the mountains. I love to travel, and I try and scuba dive at least once a year. I'm headed to Costa Rica on Sunday.
Bermuda.
Yeah, super excited. First time there. And gosh, drive too fast.
You said it's the first time to Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude.
Going to Tamarindo to celebrate a friend's 40th birthday. So that's gonna be a good time. Yeah, I mean, just getting outdoors and having a good time, and so excited summer's finally around the corner in Denver. This was tough. Winters usually don't bother me, but this winter reminded me a lot of being in the Midwest. It was just gloomy and gray and cold for a long time. So
But a long ski season.
it was a long ski season, but I unfortunately took this winter off because I had a little heart surgery in December, and I was planned and I knew it was happening, so I didn't get a pass this year. Thought I was going to be out of commission for the heart of the season, which I would have been. So yeah, I'm ready for a summer reset for sure. And yeah, what else? I got an 8-month-old little Muppet of a dog. So
What kind of dog?
a lot of my time. She's an Australian Labradoodle. So she'll be about 35 to 40 pounds. And I mean, she's a sweetheart, but she wants to eat everything. So she,
Yeah, man.
this was her meal, this morning. I mastered that. So
Have you been to Augusta?
no, I had a chance to go this year, and I what's the word? I balked 1 minute too long, and my stepbrother, or my brother-in-law, I should say, got my ticket. So, but one of these days I'll get to go. But
Go on early in the week if you can.
Yeah.
Well, I should say, I mean, if you're going to go all the way out from Colorado, maybe you should go on one of the weekend days. But the cool thing about earlier in the week is, first of all, that the course is so, I mean, it's so beautiful. And, you know, with a little slightly less people there, you can just appreciate it more, and see better, man. The problem with going, you know, especially like on a Saturday or Sunday, it's like, man, it's packed, and it's just hard to, you know, like it's hard to, unless you just want to sit in a spot or sit on the 18th, you know, whatever. It's just, you spend like a lot of time just navigating, getting one hole to the next, and then getting, you know, and then you don't really like appreciate, you know, the surroundings. But dude, it is definitely well worth it. It's as advertised, better than advertisers, which is hard to believe, but really a unique, special place. Very beautiful. So I hope you can get down there, man.
I will for sure.
Well, good luck. Have fun in Costa Rica. And dude, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate you, man. This has been a really engaging conversation, and the mental health thing is such a big issue. And I'm sorry to hear what's happened out there. Hopefully it will get, you know, if there's any positives, not that there could be anything positive from that, but I mean, it's hopefully it will engage more people on the importance of that subject, man. More people need to take it seriously.
No, I appreciate it.
Well, take care of yourself, my friend. Take care of your friends out there too. And let's stay in touch, man. You know where I am if you need anything. All right, man. See you.
Have a great day.
All right, bye.